98.3 FM and 1340 AM KIHR and GorgeRadio.com presents the Mid-Columbia Today Show with Mark Bailey. Special thanks to our sponsors, Skyline Hospital, Eastside Paving, and Del Carpine Automotive. Now, here's Mark Bailey.
Good morning. It's 8:05. Mid-Columbia Today. It is a Tuesday, the 16th of June. Thank you for joining us this morning. Here's what we're doing today. Bill Newton's here, Hood River County School District Superintendent. We'll talk about schools, and we're going to talk about a strategic plan process that they are embarking on, which kind of fits with some of the other things we've been talking about over the last few months with him. Second half of the program, Mayor of White Salmon, Marla Keethler. We'll talk to her. City Council a couple weeks ago in White Salmon passed an ordinance to require that new housing construction and certain types of housing construction, there are a lot of exceptions actually, be wired to handle chargers for cars. Not put the charger in, but just be, if the person wants it, they can install it and not have to worry about whether or not the electric load will handle it. We'll talk about that a little bit, I'm sure. And we'll find out about whatever else we want to talk about. But nonetheless, that's what's coming up today. But first, as we always do, let us tell you what this day has meant and what it means, at least to some people. 1858, accepting the Illinois Republican Party's nomination for the Senate, Abraham Lincoln said the issue of slavery in the U.S. had to be resolved, declaring a house divided against itself cannot stand. 1903, the Ford Motor Company was incorporated in Detroit. This day in 1963, the world's first female space traveler, Valentina Tereshkova, spent 71 hours in flight. As she was launched into orbit by the Soviet Union aboard Vostok 6, she circled the Earth 48 times before returning safely. 1976, thousands of black students in Johannesburg's Soweto Township demonstrated against the imposition of Dutch-based Afrikaans language in schools. Police opened fire on the students, killing at least 176 and as many as 700. 1978, President Jimmy Carter and Panamanian leader Omar Torrijos signed the instruments of ratification for the Panama Canal Treaties during a ceremony in Panama City. 2016, Walt Disney Company opened Shanghai Disneyland, the first theme park in mainland China. Our days for today, it is Wish Fulfillment Day today, and by this we mean what's something you've wished for, and you should go out and try to make it happen in some way. It's World Sea Turtle Day today. It's also World Refill Day, so get a refill, whatever it is. Now we move on to our food and stuff today. We have a lot of desserts, by the way. But first of all, it's National Vinegar Day, which is kind of in between. Vinegar, of course, is useful in so many different ways. Useful for cleaning, but also useful for boiling vinegar. It's useful in cooking, etc. It's Fresh Veggies Day today. So cut yourself some carrots and cucumbers and radishes and onions or whatever you want. Just have some fresh veggies, which is very good for you. Because the rest of this list, it's going to start to deteriorate the health benefits here. Because we have 3 desserts now. It's National Cherry Tart Day today, apparently. It's National Cannoli Day today. And it's National Fudge Day today, which is just really good. And we do have one more here because there's nothing like when these are homemade. It's National Tortilla Day today. You get a good homemade tortilla. You're living right. There's a place I go that makes them when you order your tacos, and pound, get the pot masa harina ready and put it together and then heat it up for you. Delicious. That's what we've got for what it's worth. May not be a whole lot. 8:09 in the morning. When we come back, Bill Newton, Hood River County School District Superintendent, after this.
Let Asset, Advanced Security and Electrical Technology, introduce you to the cloud. No, not that kind of cloud. Cloud-based security systems. Let's face it, we all know the term cloud and what it is, but the people at Asset will use it to your advantage. Cloud cameras, cloud access control, cloud intrusion alarms. How does this benefit you? It'll centralize data security, eliminate the need for on-premises infrastructure, make backup and recovery easier, and a whole lot more. Asset isn't a 1-800 number place that you call. They're a local company. They live here too. And if you need video surveillance, access control, fire alarms, you name it, Asset will help create it and install a security solution that's perfect for you, including cloud-based security. Asset, your local connection to the cloud. Just not that kind of cloud. To find out more, visit asetinc.com and stay local. Asset, advanced security and electrical technology.
Eastside Paving has a local team of professional paving experts ready to handle any size job for you. Eastside Paving's 35 years of experience provides the knowledge, procedures, and resources to ensure the job is done correct. Licensed, bonded, and insured in Oregon and Washington, Eastside Paving specializes in industrial, commercial, and residential jobs. Whether it's overlay, parking lots, private roads, patching, or driveway resurfacing, Eastside Paving has you covered. Call Rick Saran today for a free estimate. 503-519-6478. EastsidePaving.com. CCB 68962.
I am Heidi Hedlund, the quality manager at Skyline. I'm able to participate in all the patient care processes that are important, like what prevents patient falls from happening, what prevents patient infections from happening. Those type of things happen very rarely here at Skyline, I am happy to say. Skyline's a great place to stay if your family member is sick or if you get sick, because quality is a foundational aspect of Skyline Health. I am Skyline.
Mid-Columbia Today is a public affairs program of Bicoastal Media Columbia River, 98.3 FM and 1340 AM KIHR and GorgeRadio.com. Now, back to Mark Bailey.
It is 8:11 in the morning on Mid-Columbia Today. Bill Newton's with us, Hood County School District Superintendent, and we say good morning to Bill. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Mark. It's nice to be here.
School year's over. You got the graduation ceremony done, and
Yeah.
I think everybody's out of the buildings now.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Staff, we still have our administration around, but students and staff are pretty much done for the year.
All right, so everybody gets a chance to kind of breathe a little bit, and
You got it.
This also gives your maintenance staff a chance to get in and do some cleaning.
For sure, yeah, it is. It's a good time for us to be able to get in and start working on the floors and taking care of things that we noticed over the course of the year that we need to get to. I'll give you an example, like up at Mid-Valley Elementary, we've had a lift to get up to the second story gym that has been out of commission for the entirety of the year, and so we're able to now get in there and replace that thing.
And you were telling me, we were just talking about what we're going to discuss here a little bit off the air, that there's nothing major going on though as far as building work is concerned.
Correct.
Simply because you're in the midst of your long-term facilities process, and you kind of want to go through that before you commit to anything.
Correct. And so we're a year in. We're going to go another 6 months, I would say, with that long-range facilities planning committee before we determine what our next steps are, whether or not that means we go out for a bond in spring of 2027. Yep.
And we'll get something that kind of relates to that here in just a moment. But you also have your summer programs going on, and
we do.
I recall we discussed a couple months ago that for all the gloomy funding information we tend to get at times, federal and state level, you actually got good news on that, because you got, I think it was a 3-year commitment.
3-year commitment from the state, which is not the norm.
No,
typically we've learned about summer learning in, I would say, March, April, May, and then it's a really quick turnaround in order to be able to recruit staff to stick around for the summer, as well as students, and inform families. And so it's really nice to know ahead of time that we have 3 years of funding. It's a little over $500,000 a year. And so we're going to be able to run a summer learning program for elementary, as well as middle and high, and that'll be from July 6th through July 24th. And then we also are going to use some of that money to be able to run what we call a Jumpstart Kindergarten program. We've done that in years past, but this year we're actually doing it at all 5 of our elementary schools. And the cool thing about Jumpstart Kindergarten, it allows our teachers to be able to meet our incoming kindergarten students take a week in order to be able to just go through expectations, get to know the families, and really kind of lay the groundwork for a good start to the school year. And we found it to be really successful. Our families really appreciate it. It helps ease the nerves when the start of school begins. The students, the families, the staff, they're all ready to kick it off then when we get going on August 31st.
So do you do that just the week before? Or?
We do it it'll be August 17th through the 21st. And then the following week is when we get all staff back. And then we're doing our district-wide in-service and all of that before we then start on August 31st.
I say that with the Jump Start, you bring, I assume the kids go in this. And I mean,
and it's optional.
Yes.
So we have some students who don't come because we know that we have some families that are out of town and what have you. But for those who are around, it's a great opportunity to get a leg up.
And I would think it's also maybe not a bad way to go over the emotional hurdle, too.
Oh, no doubt. It really does. It helps both students and parents, I would say, with that piece. Yeah.
And so anyway, so I assume you let all your kindergarten parents know through your usual channels.
Yes.
That this is available and a chance to do that.
Correct.
The July summer school. What gets emphasized there?
Yeah, so we have focused on our students who are in need of additional interventions. Especially we're looking at like our transition periods, like from 5th to 6th grade, 8th to 9th grade. We also have some credit recovery. We also have funding from our migrant ed funds in order to be able to provide summer school for our migrant ed students. And so I would say those are our primary areas of focus. We'll continue to focus on areas of reading, writing, and math, the key concepts.
Yeah. I remember we talked coming out of COVID a few years ago about getting people caught up. And now we've got a pretty good length of time.
Yep.
Have we gotten there? I mean, I think especially those kids that were caught in this that were early on, the elementary kids.
Yeah, I would say we're making progress, but we're not. When you take a look at our numbers, when I say numbers too, when you take a look at our assessment results from now to pre-COVID times, we still have work to do. We're getting better. We've been able to take a look at our preliminary results from our state assessments that our students took this spring, and especially like in language arts, we saw some really good gains, and we can point back to the work that we did this year with our teachers around focusing on writing skills, because when students are taking that English language arts assessment, we could see that our students are actually doing a pretty good job of reading, but it was the writing portion that they were struggling with. And so we emphasize that this year, and we'll continue to do that. We believe that's going to continue to have growth for our students.
That's interesting. On the writing portion.
Yeah.
Is that simply... I mean, I find that odd that with if the reading is there, the writing wouldn't necessarily be.
Yep.
But is some of that attributed not necessarily to COVID type stuff, but is it more along the lines of our technology of today and how people communicate now has changed this a bit?
It could be a portion of that, but I would also say we needed to, I don't want to say go back to the basics, but go back to really focusing on some fundamentals, which writing was a piece that perhaps we weren't emphasizing as much with reading. For the last several years, we focused with especially our primary teachers and elementary teachers on the science of reading, how students learn about being really explicit. But we then recognize that we also need to do the same thing with writing. And so that's been our emphasis this year. And because of it, we're seeing gains.
I'd be curious to know, I didn't mean to kind of go to this extent of it, but now that we've had an idea of when you went through the pandemic and having kids having to learn remotely, and then we see the aftermath of the last, I guess now it's 5 years or so.
Yep.
Has there been discussion? I assume there is talking about, if this ever happened again, how we make the lessons we could take from this and maybe do things differently?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we haven't got into deep discussions about that, but we recognize that when we went into the pandemic and we went, total virtual learning, that wasn't good for kids, that it really set students back. And so if there's a way that we can not do that and keep kids in front of us and at the same time maintain, a healthy, safe environment for our students, then I think that would be the direction we would go.
Well, social interaction is a key part of learning.
It's huge.
And I think that's maybe the thing we maybe got reminded during all this.
And it's engagement.
Yeah.
So you need students to be able to be engaged, and when they're on a screen, it's really hard for them to be able to be engaged.
Yeah, because there's also other stimulus around you that
Yeah.
you can't. Teachers can somewhat control the stimulus within their classroom.
Yeah.
They can't through a screen.
No.
So it's a. No, I'm just curious. Now, actually, if we,
Yeah.
I want to get
knock on wood, though, Mark. We don't want to ever have to go back and do that again.
I don't know. I know nobody wants to go do it, but I think it would be wise that we do learn the lessons from it, and
Yeah.
So if it does happen again, we do this, because I've always told people who have complained at times, like, name me the situation anybody had been through that would guide us through this.
Yeah.
And I didn't. There was nothing I could name.
Yep.
So it's like we should learn from this, and hopefully,
it was definitely a learning experience.
Oh yeah, if it happens again.
And I would say something that we've kept with us moving forward is, like, for example, when we have snow days, we had some conversations, lengthy conversations about whether or not we do virtual learning on those days, so we don't actually have to lose a day. But we felt like that isn't effective, and so we don't do that, and so we do require our students to come back and make up those additional days in person.
So, something you didn't have to do this year, by the way.
No, we didn't. Yeah, we got out on time. That was pretty good. So
now let's steer back to what we were going to talk about today here a little bit, and that is, we've talked about your long-range planning process quite a bit. Now you are also beginning a strategic planning process, which I'm assuming is building on work that you've already done over the years.
Yep. So we actually have been doing that strategic planning process this entirety of the year. We've done surveys, we've done listening sessions, we've developed our core values, our goals, our objectives, and actions all over the course of this year, and that's been with a lot of feedback from our staff, from our administrators, from our families, and our school board. And so last week at our school board meeting, we actually presented to the school board our finalized strategic plan. And when I say finalized, meaning what our core values are, what our goals are, what our objectives are, and even what our actions are looking like for the first 1 to 2 years, knowing that those actions will adjust based on how we are progressing.
How long when you do the strategic plan, how long do you plan out?
It's built out for 5 years.
For 5 years.
Yep, and then we'll circle back and we'll do it again. So we, are finishing up this school year with a previous 5-year strategic plan.
Yeah.
So we're ready to go with a new one.
Now, I'm going to admit my bias on, and this isn't against school districts. It's against all. When I hear plans, it's like, okay, mission statements, fine.
Sure.
Core value, okay, yeah, okay.
Yep.
All that. Where the rubber meets the road on this sort of thing, what to you is the key element in having something like this?
Yeah, so it is our guiding light. I would say it is the thing that we point back to as far as whether or not we are going to focus on it. And if it's in the strategic plan, then we're going to focus on it. If it's not, then we need to have a really realistic conversation as to why we would do that if it's not built into the strategic plan. So it is, our driving force.
You mentioned every 5 years you go through this process. Changes this go around?
Yeah.
What were there anything? I would think when you get to kind of the missions and the values, I wouldn't think that would change that much.
Our vision and mission didn't change. Our core values adjusted a little bit, and then when you do get down to the goals and the actions and the objectives, definitely, they are adjusted based on where we are going. For example, some of the things that we're doing around improving our student information system. We have purchased a new system called Synergy, and that is a huge lift because it impacts so many different things. Not only does it collect all of our student information, but it also includes how we monitor student data, how we communicate with our families. It's a lot of lift, and so that is actually built into the strategic plan as far as how we are going to roll out that training and so forth.
Now, did you say are you done with this, or is there still more steps?
We're done with it.
We're done. So you are done with it.
When I say done, meaning it's been written.
Okay.
Now the hard part actually is now where we actually start implementation and putting things into play.
When you do a strategic plan like this, because you and I have talked finances way more than we'd really like to in regards to schools. How much do you put the financial realities into this, or do you keep this fairly aspirational?
No, that's really good. So one of our core values is called resource stewardship, and so we have goals and actions all that fall under resource stewardship, and the reason is because we want to be able to connect our finances to the actual objectives and actions. We want to actually say, how much is it going to cost in order to be able, like I was talking to you just a second ago about synergy, how much is that going to cost? And so we can actually budget for that. So we need to make sure that we are doing that effectively.
So, I mean, how granular does it get to? I mean, as you mentioned, you put the synergy into it, the synergy plan. But I would almost think that would be, okay, that might be like, not necessarily in your strategic plan, but in your budgets and your planning for a given school year.
So I'll give you some examples. Okay. So here's our, we'll just stick with the core value of resource stewardship. All right.
Okay.
So the goal is to allocate district resources efficiently and transparently to ensure every student has the tools and facilities they need to succeed. And then if I were to go down to some actions, this is as granular as it gets, is identify the combined costs of all parts of the strategic plan, so the district can plan funding sources.
Okay.
All right.
So that begins where you start to tie in, I think, your facilities long range
here's another
planning.
One. Yeah. So develop a long range building and staffing plan based on future enrollment forecasts and population changes, and that's a year 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 3 years down the road. We want to have that. Another one would be create a long-term capital asset plan using dedicated emergency savings accounts to fix and maintain district buildings. And so, those are the kinds of actions that we have focused under resource stewardship.
How well are you able, because life happens over the 5 years,
they do,
as you know, how well are you able to kind of stick to something like this? And how flexible do you try to keep some things?
Well, so we have year 1 actions, we have year 2, year 3, and that's about as far out as we're going to go. We don't have year 4 and year 5 because we know after year 1, some of the things in year 1 are probably going to get pushed to year 2, and we'll revise those actions and what have you based on how we did with year 1.
I mean, also you're probably at that point you're watching the biennial. Legislative.
There's all that too. How schools are funded. Next year it's a long session with the state legislature, and so. What kind of funding comes out of the state for the next 2 years will depend on, have a definite repercussions on our strategic plan for sure.
So now the strategic plan, now that's set for the next 5 years, I would think that now sets up the long-range facilities. I won't say, because the discussion's been going on for over a year, I know, with your committees. But this now set up for the long-range discussion, especially now that you have this year's budget behind you, to have that start to go before the school board and start to make those decisions as far as what do you want to include, and also, frankly, if you want to go out for a bond measure. I probably shouldn't jump ahead here.
Exactly.
I get the impression that you guys,
the board
might be
the
a
board
question.
most likely won't make that decision until like December, January, I would imagine. And the reason is because this committee still needs to do some work around identifying what exactly we want to do. Do we want to go for a bigger project? Do we want to do just maintenance and facilities upgrades, like HVAC, carpet, those types of things. So we still need to have some conversations and really narrow that down, and then present that to the board and see if the board's on board with it.
Well, there's also some timing issues because we start getting with the bond issue that's done for May Street. We talked about this before. Ways to can we buy this down a little bit? There are some ways to make this. There's a lot of timing issues involved here as far as
that bond. The current bond falls off in 2036, and so up until that point in time, we continue to pay our taxes on that bond. So in the meantime, though, is there a way in order to be able to capture some of the so the state has an awesome grant. It's up for our school district. It can be up to $8 million if we were to just go out for a grant of a bond for $8 million. So you could actually get something like $16 million. To do some of those facilities improvements that we need up until 2036 when that larger bond falls off. And then at that point in time, you could potentially look at going for a larger bond.
Right.
So,
and I know you have more than $16 million worth of needs. I think we've established that.
You have, the state, I think I shared with you before, ODE has done an analysis of our district, and they believe over the next 20 years, over $200 million in facility upgrades.
Wow. When I hear those numbers, And I know you are not alone. In fact, I think maybe you are even somewhat better off than a lot of places.
We are, because our school district, we're really fortunate in that we have a community that supports our schools. Through passing bonds, through passing levies. We're really fortunate, whereas some school districts don't have that luxury.
And that's where I get to, I've talked about this before, is it realistic for us to expect districts to be able to do this on their own?
Yeah.
Because, I know you guys won't ask for $200 million. Nope. There's no way you're going to do that.
Yeah.
But the needs are, but there's also no denying, I'm not shocked by the number in any way. The needs are there. I assume probably they're including, you've got 2 or 3 schools that eventually you've got to replace.
Yeah.
That's, I guess I keep thinking down the road here. We got to start thinking about as a state what we have to do to address this. I do
believe that is why they have commissioned this analysis of all the school districts and their costs. It's a 5-year timeline for them to be able to do that. But I do believe the reason they're doing that is to be able to share with our legislature, this is what these true costs are for all districts. How are we going to handle that as a state?
It is, do you have any more schools before we get away from this here? I know we're at the bottom of the hour. Do we have any schools? Remember, May Street, we just got to the point where it wasn't worth putting more money into the old facility. It was far more efficient to build new.
Yep.
I know we've got older buildings, but are we close to anything that you're going, we're getting near the stage of we got to think about replacing this one?
Yeah, I'm not going to name like a school, but I can say, every single school was built before 1970 in our school district besides May Street Elementary. So, all the schools were at least 50 years or older, and I think our average age of our schools is 80 years. And so when you get to that, there is a need in order to be able to be looking at, is it wise to put money into just continuing to do upgrades, or like we did with May Street, do you determine at some point in time it's time to just knock it down and build a new school?
And frankly, I'm sure there are people out there who are already probably thinking they know what schools we could probably talk about. Sure. But I understand you don't want to go individual ones. I understand that, and it's really not irrelevant at this point.
Yeah.
8:31 in the morning. Bill, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
And we will take our news break right after this.
Looking for one of the largest cannabis selections in the Gorge? Visit Farmgrass Table in Hood River. Browse nearly 100 flower options from Oregon Farms, a huge selection of vapes, and one of the Gorge's largest selections of chilled THC beverages. Our knowledgeable team is here to help you learn about the products we carry. Check out our Pac-Man game for a chance to unlock special in-store offers, find daily deals, live inventory, and out-the-door pricing on Leafly. Visit Farmgrass Table in Hood River today.
Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence of this drug. For use by adults 21 years of age or older. Keep out of reach of children.
Get ready for country music nostalgia. The Honky Tonk Circus Tour at the Granada this Saturday, June 20th, 7 p.m. It's a high-energy country experience packed with the songs, memories, and attitude that made the 90s unforgettable. Featuring Nashville songwriter and entertainer Jeremy McComb. The Honky Tonk Circus brings the hits, the lights, and the party, celebrating the legends of country music. Grab your friends and get ready to sing along. The Honky Tonk Circus Tour, June 20th at the Granada. Tickets online at granadatheaterthedalles.com or at the door.
Coffee for Mid-Columbia Today guests is provided by Hood River Coffee Roasters, the Gorge's local coffee roasters, on Tucker Road on the Heights in Hood River.
It is 8:34 in the morning. Take a look at what's in the news. Circuit Court Judge John Olson took under advisement whether to set a bail amount that could lead to pretrial release of 47-year-old Brian McGeeney, who faces 46 different charges, including 38 felonies involving a 14-year-old girl. During a court hearing Monday, Hood River County Deputy District Attorney Danielle DeCant told Olson that given the nature of the charges, McGeeney should be deemed unreleasable. But defense attorney Jeffrey Wallace countered McGeeney has no prior record, should be presumed innocent until proven guilty, does not pose a threat to the community, and that he needs to be able to post bail to assist in his own defense. DeCant did tell Olson if bail was set, she would want numerous conditions placed on release, including no contact with the victim or any minors. Olson said another hearing for Thursday morning to render a decision on bail. A bicyclist died after being struck by a vehicle while going northbound on Highway 97 near Maryhill Monday morning. According to the Washington State Patrol, a 69-year-old man from Indianapolis was headed north on his bicycle at milepost 1 just after 6:30 Monday morning when he was struck by an unknown vehicle that continued heading north on the highway. The bicyclist was pronounced spouse deceased at the scene. The WSP identified the man as James Bourne II. The collision is being investigated as a hit and run. Adventist Health Columbia Gorge has begun to reopen its Water's Edge building that was damaged during a strong December 2025 windstorm. Clinics opened Monday on the second floor of the building, including Columbia Gorge ENT, internal medicine, and the sleep clinic. The December winds blew off a large portion of the Water's Edge roof and caused significant water damage. Repairs continue on other floors of the building. Adventist Health said it plans to continue returning additional clinics and offices into the building over the summer. As of yesterday, all Oregon Department of Forestry districts are in fire season. That means that to reduce the risk of human-caused wildfires, fire restrictions will be in place. ODF Fire Protection Division Chief Michael Curran says that looking at the current conditions and projections for the summer, ODF is prepared to have another busy fire season, so Oregonians need to be practicing wildfire prevention now. Current temperatures: Stevenson 65, the Dalles 63, Hood River 69 at 8:36.
Hi, this is Zach from Del Carpine Automotive. We're so excited to operate in our new location, just a stone's throw away from our old shop. A family-run business since 2003, Del Carpine continues to provide exceptional auto repair service for both foreign and domestic vehicles, even Sprinter vans. From simple oil changes to complex engine restorations, our experienced team is here to keep you safely on the road. Visit us at our great new location or give us a call at 541-386-3133. Del Carpine Automotive, family-owned and locally trusted.
You love your land, and you have plans for it. During Kubota Orange Days, you'll love the great deals on our versatile, reliable lineup, helping you turn dream projects into reality. Visit your Kubota dealer today for the best deals of the year, now through June 30th. 0% financing available, or save up to $5,500 off select compact tractors. Sale ends soon. Stop by your local dealer or go to gokubota.com.
Sea Shepherds, 440 Riverside Drive, Hood River, your Kubota dealer. Mid-Columbia Today is a public affairs program of Bi-Coastal Media Columbia River, 98.3 FM and 1340 AM KIHR and GorgeRadio.com. Now, back to Mark Bailey.
And it is now 8:39 in the morning. If you're listening live, of course, you'll also be listening on our podcast. All you have to do is go to wherever you get your podcasts, and you can have the show downloaded to you every morning, about 9:30 or so after we get through with the live airing. You can have it right there for you. You don't have to worry about missing the show. And with us this morning, White Salmon Mayor Marla Keethler. Good morning, Marla.
Good morning, Mark.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and I was listening intently to your intro just now, and I didn't realize you guys are on podcast. So I'm very excited to hear that. We'll start accessing your other episodes there. So that was effective advertising.
There you go, right there. I got another subscriber right there. All you got to do is wherever you get your podcast, you should be able to get to it.
Awesome.
First of all, the City of White Salmon City Council the other night, I caught this, passed an ordinance. It came out of the City Lab that you have, the City Lab Committee, and it's in regards to having new construction ready to be able to handle electric charging of vehicles. And I'll let you kind of take it from there.
Yeah, so our city council, a couple of years ago now, coming up on 2 years, passed an emissions reduction plan. And that had originated out of the City Lab Board, which was formed when we passed our climate resolution. So they have been really, thankfully, energized since it passed on making sure to follow through on what is recommended in that plan. And, I think our two city councilors, David Lindley and Patty Fink, expressed it well, saying, listen, this was an item that was flagged, and as we dug into it further, they had some conversation with KPUD as well during the process, and we're able to form an ordinance that they feel like moves the needle in the direction that we want to go, which is that to see, citywide or larger change to us embracing different renewable energy sources, especially, a lot of it can start with some of these steps, which is let's make our houses already available to support the kind of charging that we know electric vehicles need. Now, critically, this does not mean that an actual physical charger is installed, but it does mean that the proper electrical hookups and access are available in those homes that are being built. So that's the big change. And really, I think it's about them showing through their policies sort of the value set that the city had adopted in that emissions reduction plan and the direction that we're aiming to go.
Immediately, though, a couple things came to my mind when you were discussing this. Number one is we talk all the time about the home affordability in this area.
Yeah.
And this kind of gets into some of the exemptions you put into this. And the reality is, even though no matter how well-meaning we are, when we start to put these things in as requirements, we do add cost to the building of housing. So how was that handled within this ordinance? Because you did put some steps in there in regard to that.
Yeah, so there were some call-outs specifically regarding how exemptions would be handled, and acknowledging that there will be, once this is in place, either unique site conditions that actually make that installation infeasible. Cost was definitely discussed. Now, that is not alone an exemption that would qualify regarding cost, but they also called out specifically affordable housing. And so now the tricky thing there, of course, is that when you say affordable, it doesn't mean affordable based on someone's subjective circumstance. There's a definition there. And currently, White Salmon's definition for affordability is 80% of AMI. Interestingly, I think as this has moved through council, it brought forward to my mind that that's likely a number that our current council should revisit. We adopted that in 2020, and I think as we've seen things change, that a broader definition could be warranted. But whatever that definition is that our city has at any given time, when affordability is used here, that's how it would be applied. And so there is an effort here to not have it do what you're saying, which is often what we hear, that if we add these requirements on the front end, you will not achieve affordable housing on the back end. You know, I think the City Lab made some compelling arguments, and from their vantage point, you know, I think where they are landing is a strong conviction that you have to start somewhere. And this doesn't mean that this code might not get revisited, but with the consultation that they did with KPUD, you know, they identified that really the cost is lower to do it at the beginning than for people to move in and then potentially, you know, acquire an electric vehicle, want that high charger. And I think that was the interesting point too, is that especially here in the Gorge, we have many people that commute long distances, especially still going back west over into Vancouver or Portland. But even if you're just running errands, our communities are somewhat spread out. And so to really effectively get a charge, you sort of need a high-speed charger to realize a full battery if you're actively using that car as your primary vehicle and intending to charge it overnight.
You know, and that brings me to the other thought, though, I had as I listened to this, and that was, if I'm building housing in this area, and I'm not necessarily in the affordable housing realm, if I'm a developer and I'm building maybe, you know, market rate housing or beyond, I'm probably putting this in anyway, aren't I? Just from a consumer demand standpoint, because electric vehicles, I suspect, are going to continue to grow. How much of this was just as much about maybe working with ClickTap PUD to ensure the capabilities are there?
That's a good question. And I do think some of it was us doing that intentional kind of querying with ClickTap PUD of, hey, what is the state of the grid and the system? And, you know, I envision that in the future we will bring KPUD to a full council meeting, because this is something that even the two councilors on this board expressed while working through this, is a desire to have that larger conversation. But the fact of the matter is, right now, if we were to have everybody that's currently in a home, and, you know, we had some public comment to this effect during that ordinance review and eventual passage from a resident who was looking to retrofit their home. And it sounded very similar to what we see a lot on our water utilities, which is something new comes in to an aging system. And whatever that new modern thing is, whether it's additional dwellings that need to be supported, or in this instance, an EV charger, going into old infrastructure and retrofitting that as well is often more expensive. And that resident shared, you know, costs that he was quoted that were much higher and more significant than the, you know, few hundred, about $200 that our City Lab had conveyed from their conversations with KPUD. So I think that was a window into what that difference looks like if you're trying to do it after the fact. And so I think in this we can be a better partner with KPUD. You're right. Some of it's market driven. There will be those developers that come in and they don't necessarily need a code to adhere to. They would probably be doing that anyway with the type of home they might envision building. But for those that are not, this is also aim here that the new housing stock, as it comes in, when we look to the future, most of it through this code will be ready to support likely what is the more, you know, majority type of transportation going forward, depending on where federal policy goes. But I think here in Washington State and the Western United States, you really see the continued push on EV.
So moving along here, obviously it is summer. It is a fire season, which brings its own issues to the area. I know there were efforts going kind of area by area. I think you're working with the state as a city on some mitigation in some high areas of fire danger in the area. Is that work still going on?
It is. We're actually looking to achieve a milestone this year, and this work really started back in 2019, but we have made significant headway, and this is what we refer to as kind of our fuel mitigation project, which is basically creating a full square, more or less, around the city limits and surrounding areas. And, some people refer to it as fuel break. I even do as shorthand, but our partners kind of encourage us not to because people think that means we're dramatically clear-cutting, and we're not. We're going in and intentionally treating the understory in a lot of these areas that are on all 4 boundaries of our area here in Western Klickitat to make sure that understory is healthy and not overgrown, especially with oak trees, which certainly are abundant here. That is a high cause for concern. And so right now they're doing a lot of work on our western boundary, which is actually outside of city limits, and on the north side. Last year we made significant headway on dock grade, which to the naked eye might not look, again, like it's not going to present as a clear cut, but what it does present as is a much more healthier area that gives firefighters the chance to get ahead of a fire if it's coming through those areas. And that's really the aim there, is to be better prepared to fight a fire when it is threatening our city area.
So where is the area now being worked on?
So the area now is out in the Pucker Huddle area along Sterling Court kind of estates, which is really that western bluff that goes down to the alternate 14 that hugs the White Salmon River. And so really what it's doing is working through a lot of that difficult terrain as well, similar to what we have on the southern boundary where we often speak about the bluff and clearing there. And a lot of this work is also with property owners. So most critically, none of this work happens unless we get 60% buy-in or participation by all the land owners. And so every boundary has had, both, especially the southern stretch, a combination of private, state, county, or local property owners. And, for those early years, that's where it was a struggle because certainly, there's that unknown of, well, what am I signing up for? And ultimately what you're signing up for, if you're on the part that is being done by the agency, is that initial clearing, but a commitment that you will maintain it over time. A secondary element of this whole project is direct engagement with some property owners and working with neighborhoods and giving them grants to cover some of the costs of individual property maintenance and ultimately ongoing. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a twofold effort, but the main goal here is to draw that box. And this year we will realize that box, which is exciting.
Before I let you get away here, I want to go real quick up to some of the work you've been doing on the water project. I forget the name. It's like phase 2A something very governmental.
Yes. I'm not sure why we went from 2 to 2A. And when I'm talking to you on Tuesday, well, I won't be around for 2Z, but maybe I'll try to get a new convention of naming these projects. But yes, mainline phase 2A is moving on schedule, but also ahead, which is good because this is always our aim, was to really try to accelerate this project so that we weren't keeping the outlying community. This is the stretch that goes out past White Salmon towards Buck Creek, where we're bringing that water all the way into town. And we know that summer traffic is heavy out there. And so we are finishing the repaving. Last time we spoke, there had been the issue at the asphalt plant that's since been resolved, though the street is reopened. And so we're working around transportation, but also still trying to complete the necessary repairs, most critically to Highway 14.
So it's 8:52 in the morning. That actually kind of gets through what I was going to ask you about. I just got something on my email I need to pass along to people for Hood River County. So,
can I get 2 more quick plugs in, Mark?
2 more quick ones in, yeah.
Okay, it's a big week in White Salmon. This Thursday is our first Third Thursday, which is always a fun night on the town. And back to that EV topic, we're actually launching an e-bike share program, and we have an open house at the library also on Thursday. from 5:30 to 7. So a lot of things to bring residents out. And then July 4th, along with our parade, we're also dedicating a Liberty tree that morning at 9:30. We've got a concert in the park, so hoping all the residents come celebrate America's 250th with us.
Okay. Marla Keethler, Mayor of White Salmon, thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
It is 8:52 in the morning on MCT. We'll come back again. Just kind of saying for Hood River County, I want to pass on along because it's rather important with fire danger right after this.
The threat of wildfire poses a growing risk to Oregonians, and recent wildfires have provided some important lessons. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Step 1. Contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of coverage. Step 2. Create a home inventory by taking photos or videos of your possessions in each room of your home. Step 3. Gather and make copies of important identifying and financial documents. Store them in the cloud or another secure location. These 3 actions can help you and your community be more resilient in the face of wildfire. Be wildfire ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how. This message brought to you by the Oregon Division of Financial Regulation, the Oregon Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Eastside Paving has a local team of professional paving experts ready to handle any size job for you. Eastside Paving's 35 years of experience provides the knowledge, procedures, and resources to ensure the job is done correct. Licensed, bonded, and insured in Oregon and Washington, Eastside Paving specializes in industrial, commercial, and residential jobs. Whether it's overlay, parking lots, private roads, patching, or driveway resurfacing, Eastside Paving has you covered. Call Rick Saran today for a free estimate. 503-519-6478. EastsidePaving.com. CCB 68962.
Tune in weekday mornings at 8:05 and keep up with community events and issues with the Mid-Columbia Today Show on Mid-Columbia's news leaders, 98.3 FM and 1340 AM KIHR. Special thanks to our sponsors, Skyline Hospital, Eastside Paving, and Del Carpine Automotive.
I just got my email, a release from Hood River County. I wanted to get to her before we get away because due to increasing wildfire risk and notification from the Oregon Department of Forestry that a regulated use closure is taking effect today, Hood River County is implementing additional fire prevention measures in unincorporated areas of the county within the county forest. Number 1, the discharge of fireworks in Hood River County is now prohibited and will remain in effect till the Oregon State Forester suspends or terminates the closure, which means all summer, by the way. That you can count on that. Also beginning today, following restrictions within the Hood River County Forest, open campfires are prohibited except when within designated fire rings at county campgrounds operating under a special waiver. Portable cooking stoves using liquefied or bottled fuels are permitted. All vehicles on county forest roads must carry either a shovel and at least 1 gallon of water or a fire extinguisher rated a minimum of 2.5 pounds. If you contact our great sponsor at New She Fire, our She Fire, New She Fire is the title of a cut I do for audio for them. Contact She Fire. They'll get you taken care of on the fire extinguisher. Motorized trail use prohibited on Middle Mountain, Pinemont, and Fir Mountain. That's east side. Motorized off-highway vehicle use remains permitted within the Northwest Area Trail System under a special ODF waiver. And the residents and visitors are encouraged to follow all fire restrictions and use caution when recreating or working outdoors. Now, we should point out that today, particularly, there's a lot of fire weather warnings out there because of the strong winds that are expected. So be very careful out there, obviously, today and every day through our fire season, which pretty much will run right into the latter part of October, early November now. So anyway, wanted to pass that along before we got away this morning. Got enough time to tell you what's coming up tomorrow on the show. Kelly Housley-Glover is going to join us in her role as a co-chair of the Rowena Long Range Fire Recovery Board. We'll talk to her about 1 year later and where the recovery efforts are at. So we'll have on the Wasco County Community Development Director in the first half of the show tomorrow. Second half, White Sand Valley School District Superintendent Rich Polkinghorn. Thursday, Hood River Valley High School Solar Storms. We believe we're going to have them here. Going to have a couple of the kids here. They've got their project, a solar car. They're going to race in Texas for a week coming up in July. They're raising money. We'll tell you all about it. You need to help these kids out if you can. It's a great project. Mayor of the Dalles, Rich Mays, on Thursday as well. Friday, we'll talk to Tamara Tapel, Mount Adams Chamber of Commerce, and Marty Dane scheduled to be with us as well for a visit. That's it. We're done. For Cameron Eisenberg, I'm Mark Bailey. Talk to you again on Wednesday.
Columbia Today Show is a public affairs presentation of Bicoastal Media Columbia River. The views expressed on the program are not necessarily those of the station, parent company, or of the sponsors. We welcome your suggestions for future shows. Call us at 541-386-1511. Listen to Mid-Columbia Today where you want. Follow or subscribe to Mid-Columbia Today wherever you download your podcast to get the show delivered every day to your mobile device.